What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk once again about Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, give you guys my full review. Not only did I finally beat this game maybe like an hour or two ago, but I actually got the Platinum Trophy. I struggle to say 100% it. I like to think so, but technically there were a couple challenges, pirate challenges, that I did not complete. But in terms of really running the tables, experiencing everything that this game has to offer, I mean, I put 30 hours and a Platinum Trophy, which means I did all of the Coliseum. I made so much money, almost infinite wealth amounts of money in this game. And, I am conflicted, but I do overall come out and say that was an amazing ride. That was such a fun time, and it was such a blast. I think the best way to put this game, for those that are maybe still on the fence, and hey, thanks for waiting on me, thanks for watching this video, this is just a very safe game. That's really all of this is. It's a safe game. It pushes, I would say, next to nothing in terms of kind of elite status, and I think I am a little conflicted on that. You know my thoughts on, Goro Majima just as a character. I love the guy. I think there's more to give with him, and I think they did push it here and there in the game. I definitely think we had moments, especially towards the end. I would say chapters 4 and 5, there were some moments of like true cunningness, where he kind of had that fear kind of aspect to him, where he's not necessarily like mad dog crazy. He's kind of more like self-contained, but he's able to really push it and almost like put the fear of God into other characters. They did that here and there. I think the very ending, which I won't spoil, but there's a very meaty, I'd say, conversation at the very end between him and another character about basically chasing dreams and hanging it up and kind of passing it down to the next person, in this case, Noah. I thought that was actually really, really cool. I thought the ending was, once more, because they've done this kind of before, The Man Who Erased His Name, I would say, as well. It kept it very contained, but it kind of found that emotion that it needed in that moment. Now, nothing in this game, I think, matches that game in terms of, like, pure emotion. The most that game will make you feel, there's nothing in this game. There's a couple fake out character eliminations, nothing too serious, nothing that made me tear up, nothing that made me too emotional, and that's kind of the point. If you're talking about the story and characters, they were solid. There were a couple twists and turns. As I said in the last video, my impressions video, what ends up boiling down to, though, is probably a story you could tell in 15 minutes, right? There's this fabled treasure, and it's a race to the treasure. In between the beginning and the end, there's a middle where characters will sometimes double-cross. You'll find out missing pieces of the past of these characters. Okay, what really happened here? And at the end of the day, it's just about finding a treasure and splitting it amongst those that made it that far, right? And that's kind of it. That's the entirety of the story. Madlantis plays a part to it, right? Like, you got the Pirate Queen. It did, at times, make me feel very like Pirates of the Caribbean, like this idea of, like, eternal youth being, a fabled, I'd say, treasure of this overall treasure. I mean, that reminds me of On Stranger Tides, Pirates 4. There were actually several moments that made me think of Pirates of the Caribbean and kind of that otherworldly, kind of like stretching it out a little bit. So it was fine. The characters overall pretty okay. Majima definitely has his times of being elite, but it's not. I talked about what I wanted from him going in. You can, I guess, go back and watch those videos if you want. Did I get all that? No, I did not get all that. But I thought it was a solid tale. You got some emotion. You got some comedy. You got him, in a role. I played it for 30 hours. That's second most that you're ever going to really get of him besides Yakuza 0, right? So I guess you have that. And then in terms of everything else, I mean, like I said, they don't push it, but it's pretty much just a classic Yakuza or Like a Dragon game. There are all of these different mini games. I mean, crazy. You just go down the list because I've played them all. There's darts, there's pool, there's golf. Golf is a lot of fun. There's that batting cage, baseball thing, which, by the way, a lot of these are just repeats of things in the past. I like the batting one, exploding the barrels. I thought that was a really fun mini game. You got that kart racer. I got to be honest, I was not a fan of that kart racer. You needed to do it for the platinum. You needed to do it for a couple different trophies. And again, it was fine. I mean, it was there's a lot of moments of dead time in that kart racer. I think they tried a little, but obviously not too much. Crazy delivery. I learned to appreciate it a little bit more because I actually had to do every match and all that jazz. So that one was pretty okay. Point being, the game's got a lot of like time filler stuff that's pretty enjoyable. It's not going to bore you, but it's not going to make you think like it's the greatest thing of all time. I would say the thing that is the most strangely addicting and kind of has this pull to it is, I would say, the internal game of getting all of these pirates, leveling them up, putting them where you want to put them, and competing in all of these tournaments. That is probably where the game's at its strongest, because is it literally Black Flag ship combat? It is most certainly not, but it very much leans into that arcadiness. I think, when I'm having the most fun on like the pirate ship is when like an enemy kind of lines me up and then I do my super boost and do like a quick little drift, like Tokyo Drift, but only as a ship, and being able to spin right out of its frame so that they're not actually going to strike me, spinning around, firing my Frost missile, or I guess Frost, the machine gun, freezing them, ramming them, using my super laser cannons or whatever, dealing thousands upon thousands of points of damage, every second or so. So that's where this game, I think, is at its most fun, to be honest, is when it really leans into the unbelievable and the almost like lightheartedness of this arcadey, pirate type thing. That's where I think it's a lot of fun. Also, I mean, the base combat's a lot of fun too. The Mad Dog style, the Pirate style, or Sea Dog, both of them are awesome. The special abilities, as doppelgangers, and then summoning the dark gods, whatever they call them, those are equally, as fun as each other. So there's a lot of fun to be had there. And again, that kind of mini game of, okay, getting all of these different pirates, and you can recruit like 85 or so. You have to do 80, I think, for the trophy. So you get all of these different people, and it's just about maxing them out, getting them to their max level, picking the ones that have the highest ceiling, right? You don't want people that max out at level 20. You want people that max out like 40 or 50, putting them where you want, and then not just doing the sea battles, the ship stuff, but then also, okay, I got to have a good boarding crew so that when I actually jump on the ship, it's not just me fighting. I have this like elite squadron that I'm taking with me. That is where this game, I think, is the most fun, because it kind of combines these new features, because the ship stuff is new and it's fun. It has this kind of reoccurring thing of, recruiting people, which, it's done here and there in the past in different kind of ways, and everything kind of links, right? You're always getting these treasures, you're always getting an outrageous amount of money, and then you funnel that back in. You're upgrading your ship, you're upgrading, Majima as a character. So there's a lot of fun to be had there, and that's probably where I spent, the majority. I spent a lot of time in this game, but quite a bit of it was the Pirate Coliseum going through, right? The side stuff, I mentioned like the mini games, but the side quests, I actually would say there's a good, number one, there's a good amount of them. Number two, good solid quality, I would say, in plenty of them. Good rewards. They're not too long, they're not too short. A lot of that stuff I think they nailed, pretty darn well. Some of like the elite missions of like, okay, if you party with these 5 girls, you're gonna get one of the craziest, cringiest type half an hour of your entire life. Okay, it's freaking epic in its own kind of way. Going up against the Pirate Coliseum, once you complete all of them, you face like the ultimate pirate, a person, I guess. You have to take on their ship, and then you have to take them on one-on-one. That challenged me. That was actually, I think, the hardest thing in the entire game. So, if you push this game to its limits, it's gonna reward you in some pretty cool ways. There's a rewarding factor feel, even in my own head, where I get a treasure that's worth like 500,000. I think there's a couple of treasures that are worth like $100,000+, and that's something very special, when you get that and you're able to just, continue to 100% this game. I think that's where this game is at its most fun, is experiencing everything, not taking it too seriously, right? Like, you're kind of just dabbling in everything, and I think just kind of matching what this game is giving you. Again, the best and maybe worst thing you can say about this game, it's a very solid time. I bought this game myself. There's no, ulterior motives. I mean, you guys know I'm a huge fan of the Yakuza series, but I'm willing to be critical when I need to, and there are times in this. I think it's a game that plays a lot of things safe. I think it's very evident that it's a spin-off. I think it's very evident that they made this thing in very short time. There's problems, the enemy, detective situation has come back up all of a sudden. I thought they toned that down. They did for Infinite Wealth. Basically, I'm talking about when you're going down the street, enemies see you way too easily. They don't let up following you, and you're going to be fighting fighting low-level grunts 1,000 times throughout the entire game. That was the case in 7, but then in Infinite Wealth, and I think The Man Who Erased His Name, they lowered that, where enemies wouldn't detect you walking by them so easily. Well, it's back. I mean, it's as bad as it was, I'd say, 3 games ago right now. So the things are like that's kind of the issue, right? You have these repeating asset using type things, which is fine. But then if you had a problem in the past, you're probably going to have it now. You're stuck doing some mini games that weren't very fun in Infinite Wealth, and you have to do them again now to do the 100% type thing. So those kind of things is what gets me. And one final, I guess, complaint, I was actually venting to a friend about this. One thing that I'm starting to get more and more tired of in these games, but also because it's a spin-off game, I in particular didn't like it. I'm not a huge fan of half the main quests just being introductions to side stuff. So, and if you've played these games, I think you know what I mean. So many of the main quests are pointless. They are to introduce you to a side concept that then you can do. So much of the main I would honestly argue 50% of the main story of Pirate Yakuza is just introducing, okay, this is how we're going to do crazy delivery, or this is how we're going to do this, or I don't actually know if crazy delivery is one of them, but so many, like the Pirate Coliseum, or, a bunch of the mini games in Hawaii. A lot of these things are given to you as a main mission, and then you don't have to do them, but it wastes a main mission because it's just introducing you to a side thing that we've done a couple games now, and then they weren't that fun. They're not that fun right now, right? But it uses a main mission to tell you that. So I know these games do that. I know that's just a reoccurring thing. It doesn't normally bother me, but for a game that's like 30 hours max, and a game that, stars Majima, I was looking for more, and then when you use 30, 40, 50% of his spotlight just to show you that you can do other mini games, and not the main stuff, that kind of ticks me off. So the game's good enough. The game tells a solid enough story, solid characters. I do like the bond between Majima and Noah, but some of the payoff type story things, which I won't get into because of spoilers, there are some really cool things in the last 2 chapters. Definitely they go for it as much as they're going to go for it in this game. And granted, it's actually very easy to understand. It's betrayal. It's a race for the treasure. It's not all of these patriarchs and all of these different families that we've become so accustomed to in the past games. It's not as confusing, but I kind of like it being confusing. It's not as in-depth in this game, which in some ways is good, some ways is bad. But the memory payoff is not really there, at least in my opinion. Even some of the relationship stuff between Majima and Noah is solid. I don't really love how it ends. I don't think it's this grand type thing, and a lot of things are kind of like that. So let me down in some ways, but ultimately, I do want to stress, it was a blast. I would do it again, and I had a lot of fun. I mean, the 30 hours, I wasn't sitting here just, broken up about doing it. I really did enjoy my time, but that's kind of the thing. Even some of the weaker Yakuza games are still very solid games, right? I'm kind of nitpicking because I want them to be at their elite level. This is a good game. It's a good game, and it fits in, I would say, with some of the weaker Yakuza games that are also good. I don't think there's a bad game in the series, but there's elite Yakuza games or Like a Dragon games, and then there's not so elite, and this would be one of those. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.